Good afternoon, everyone. I am glad to welcome you to today's meeting. Today, we will be talking about the extended program, and today the theme of our broadcast will be illuminated by the theme. That is, we will talk about what a theme is in neurography. So, what is the theme in neurography? You all know that neurography is based on the basic algorithm, which consists of 8 points of the basic algorithm. Any neurography algorithm consists of 8 points of the basic algorithm, and the first point of the basic algorithm is precisely called theme. So, this is why we always start with the first point. As always, we will start by saying that before we begin to do anything, we always set an intention for why we are doing it in the first place. Let's start with our ordinary life. For example, if we set the task of going to work, why do we go to work? To earn money there. And also, for example, why go to the store? To buy groceries there, and so on. Similarly, in neurography, point 1 signifies that it is important for you to set an intention regarding what you want to achieve in the end, what result you wish to obtain from your drawing as you interact with yourself, because neurography is a creative method of working with the subconscious that helps you build the right neural connections related to your request. And so much depends on how you set your theme. Because sometimes we draw something that isn't truly ours, and we don't quite realize it. So please write in the comments how often you draw, every day, every other day, on occasion, or from time to time, or perhaps you draw a lot but do not achieve results. Please provide feedback regarding which themes you are using, how quickly the method works, and when it does not work. Perhaps, as we have in our extended program project, there are many stories related to participants who have been drawing for several years, 6 months, a year, and even some who have drawn for 2 years, but still did not achieve results. We were examining the reasons for not achieving results. It all comes down to the theme 1, because we are not drawing exactly what we need. It is important to find the cause in order to achieve a result. This cause needs to be uncovered. This is similar, for example, to a medical perspective. When we have pain, it is crucial for us to identify the cause, because if we start applying some treatment and realize that it is not helping us, it is because we have not reached the point where it all began. That is, what is important for me right now. Therefore, it is very important to listen to oneself and to receive maximum specific insights. In neurography, we pay attention to reflexes and the 4 points of focus. And here it is very important to always feel what is happening to you in each moment. So please provide feedback. How vividly are these moments played out for you? How often do you draw? What do you take specifically in your themes? How do they work for you? Because again, returning to the fact that the theme is always point 1 in neurography, we start precisely with it. We activate our consciousness through the 20 words exercise on a given theme. And here, conditionally speaking, when we form the theme, we must consider an important nuance. That is, the theme must be truly authentic. That is, the theme should concern you. In other words, you want to change something about yourself. We cannot change someone else. We can change our attitude towards someone. That is, our attitude towards the situation. We are always changing ourselves. Even if we are working on our relationships, our task is to change our attitude towards ourselves. That is, we must first change our attitude within ourselves. Only then will we change our reality. After all, each of you knows that absolutely. Anyone creates their own life and shapes their own reality, the one that you desire. No one creates it for us. Everything we have in our lives are, in fact, situations that we have manually created ourselves. And I think that each of you will agree with this concept regarding the fact that this is indeed how it happens. And sometimes it seems to us that we could not create such serious challenges for ourselves. But the truth is that to achieve a great result, sometimes you need to delve into a difficult story, and then we can truly obtain what we need. Because life is created to overcome certain obstacles. Our life consists of white and black, so to speak. At first, we have yin-yang everywhere, harmony. We always need to strive for balance. It is this balance that we will be creating together during the broadcast today. We will have a specific drawing technique that we will use. I think this will resonate with some of you, and you will be able to incorporate it into your practice by refining it with your own specific themes. So, sincerity is one of the most important aspects to pay attention to when forming your theme. It should also be ecological, meaning that we always address the issue in relation to ourselves. We do not violate the boundaries of another person. We work with ourselves. When you start to change yourself, the world is our mirror, meaning that the world begins to reflect this. New people come into your life, you meet new acquaintances, and you explore new spaces. The world is starting to change. Again, there must be attainability, meaning you need to be a real person and understand, that is, if you understand that. Conditionally speaking, you want to buy a new apartment and you set the theme as apartment, you must realize that if your salary is such that you want an apartment in Moscow City for a certain amount with a specific renovation, but you understand that you are working and your salary is currently 10K conditional units. With such a salary, you will be able to buy your apartment in a real moment, like retirement conditionally. It is clear that with neurography, we can change all of this. How are we going to change this? We will create opportunities to improve working conditions. That is, we will be ready for the fact that we need to acquire a new profession and reach a new level. Certain steps must be taken, and then your goal becomes achievable. However, if we are not ready to change anything but still want to have a beautiful and vibrant life, unfortunately, that doesn't work, because neurography is a creative method of working on oneself. Nevertheless, for neurography to be effective, it is necessary to take certain actions. I believe that each of you determines this for yourselves. There must be relevance and readiness for action, naturally, in that you are already creating a certain puzzle towards achieving your goal. So, during our extended program, we analyze the cases of participants, we examine specific themes and works, and accordingly, we discuss various options, particularly regarding what could be improved in terms of the theme, or to create a new theme. And it can be said that the extended program is an additional tool to the user's course. The reason this project was created and has already established its position is that it has been running for almost a year, and throughout this year, it has demonstrated good results specifically in helping participants, because when you attend a user course, you encounter a huge, large, one might even say, volume of information. And we all perceive this information differently. Some people find it sufficient to independently watch all the videos provided in the user course and get answers to all their questions from these videos, while others struggle to fully understand certain nuances. So, the extended program is precisely that developing space which allows for addressing many questions regarding how to form a theme, how to work with a case, what specific mistakes to pay attention to in terms of line management, in terms of fixation figures, field lines, that is, how to work with the basic algorithm from a practical perspective, and what exactly needs to be focused on. Because one of the typical mistakes is that we do not fully develop point 4. For example, our figure and background suffer because we do not know. Or rather, we do not use all the space of the surrounding world to address our issue. And when you start to develop this skill and see from the outside how it works, you consequently achieve a really great result. Therefore, the user's course is quite extensive, and as Pavel Mikhailovich says, if we do not want to further develop specifically in terms of neurography, it will be enough for a lifetime. But sometimes we lack those additional practical nuances, perhaps even an additional unifying developmental environment where we could watch something further or ask an additional question. It is clear that we have additional free chats for each stream and a general chat for each course, but in any case, there are sometimes more personal questions that one would not want to share in public. Here, there is an opportunity to receive a quality response, along with an analysis on a specific theme, particularly related to one's own work. So we have come to the most important point. How is the theme set in neurography? In the course for users and in general in the extended program, we always say that the theme is formed by a single word. It is very important to concentrate your attention within a given theme. That is, if you are concerned about your relationship with your husband, you can either formulate the theme as husband or simply as relationship. Why it is unnecessary to describe harmonious relationships with my beloved, worthy man there. Conditionally speaking, imagine how many nuances there are. It's like perfectionism. In other words, we hinder our consciousness from quickly reaching its goal. That is, if I have the theme of relationships, I take relationships and I do not limit myself regarding where I will go next or what I will do next. I take the general theme and start working within it, and I achieve results in my theme faster and better than if I narrow it down to some small nuance, while at the same time I include control. If we look at it from the perspective of our development, specifically at all levels of development, then control is precisely the second center. For clarity, we can even consider the chakras. The second level, then, is pleasure. And you control your pleasure, therefore you cannot rise any further because you have control over everything. Here we can already see that there are some situations in the past which may have been conditionally. This is an example for us to think about. There may have been some conditional upbringing situations such as a strict father, a strict mother, or constant prohibitions, and you have taken this pattern of behavior into your adult life because everything ultimately comes from childhood, as everyone has known for a long time. And when you take this narrow theme, you are essentially using an old template. But when you take a broader theme of relationships and start to channel energy into it, the event begins to unfold very vividly and interestingly, and you start to see how various aspects develop within your theme. And accordingly, you start to quickly extract certain new insights for yourself. And based on this new experience, you can build your own wonderful relationships in your theme, or even change this theme altogether, as often happens. You take a theme that seems important to you, but when you honestly ask, especially those who are specialists here, if we have specialists on this broadcast, please write if you are here. Then we can pay attention to what we are focusing on. So imagine when we come to a coaching session, a client comes to us and we start asking them the question of which theme we will work on today, and many are afraid to express their real inner request. For example, let's work on the theme of relationships. I say, well, okay, let's work on the theme of relationships. And what will be the result of our meeting on the theme of relationships? That is, a person starts to give a lot of words, phrases, and sentences. They cannot clearly articulate what they want. As a result, within the framework of this conversation, we come to the conclusion that money is important to the person. She seems to be interested in relationships, but what she really needs is money. She says, yes, well, I probably want money after all. So when you start, she says, okay, let's go. Now it's about the money. What will be the result? A person says, exactly there. I want to do a new renovation in the apartment. I want a new kitchen. So here you have a clear and specific result. And there are many such situations, and such nuances are precisely revealed in this specific constructive work. And it is exactly in the extended program that we engage in this. Accordingly, when you come and submit your work, we discuss and provide recommendations on what could be worked on before the next meeting, and then you have a sort of support. In other words, during the extended program, you receive, so to speak, a group coaching session. Each participant who submits their work receives a response to their request. Additionally, there are small thematic topics that we explore to expand our consciousness, because sometimes we don't even think to work on a specific theme that we raise. In these small topics, which also hold significant importance for us. Therefore, from this perspective on neurography, we form the theme with just one word. Do not narrow your perception within the framework of a single theme, because many of you encounter situations where someone formulates the theme with just a couple of words, a single line, or a few sentences. This happens very often. Someone mentions that it is necessary to formulate a sentence. We receive exactly this kind of feedback. But you know, the Institute of Psychology and Creativity of Mikhail Piskarev recommends formulating the theme with just one word. Sometimes Pavel Mikhailovich says that a theme can be formed with a phrase, but there is no need to expand it further. Why? Control it. Imagine you want, for example, a 3-room apartment in the center of Moscow City. Conditionally speaking, you simply take the theme apartment. You understand that you want a certain level of apartment. In other words, if you start drawing, you have already set yourself the task of having an apartment, not just any random place somewhere. You already have a certain image inside of where you want to be, but when you set the theme as apartment, maybe you don't want a 3-room one, but rather a 5-room one. Or perhaps you would like to be on some first floor, but instead you might get an apartment on the 28th floor, meaning you will receive even better conditions because the world always gives us the best. And again, when you start drawing, you must understand that today I want one thing, tomorrow I want another, because we live, we develop, and something changes in us, and this is how that desire can transform. Today I want this, but tomorrow that desire is not quite relevant. And when you set a specific theme, you refine it. You elevate certain aspects within yourself. You understand certain internal dialogues, and in your case, you arrive at the ideal of what you truly want. Therefore, explore your themes more deeply, and you will achieve truly interesting results. And it is precisely in the extended program that we focus on this so that each participant achieves very good results and grows specifically in their specialization. We accept not only participants from the user course, we also have participants from the specialist course and the instructor course. Some participants think that this is just something related to perception for school, something perhaps for beginners, but many underestimate the importance of this project. Here, you can gain practical experience that will help you in working with your own clients. The themes are always the same for each person, but when you review different case analyses multiple times, you will be able to apply the knowledge gained in your practice. When a specific client comes to you, you will remember that there was such a story, and you can go this way, or that way, and accordingly observe. It is clear that each of us has our own story and some additional nuances, but in any case, with the right application of effort, you will achieve good results with your client. This means that you will have good practice, which will bring you certain states, your realization, and your confidence, as well as provide a stable flow of clients, which is exactly what many of our specialists strive for. This is about getting into a specific practice because sometimes we even receive questions in training chats, even from students who have already completed their studies. For example, how to work with a client whose child is 8 years old and has ADHD. So, how to work. Just yesterday, there was a question in the course users chat. How exactly to work with this client? That is, which theme to choose. This is precisely what we are discussing in the extended program, how to work with these themes. So, what should we pay attention to? It is clear that many immediately think that since this is ADHD, we need to work on the child's hyperactivity. That is, we form a theme for accepting this child. But we need to look deeper. And why did such a parent have exactly this kind of child? What is it related to? Why did such a mother perfectly shape a reality where she was given such an active child? What was the cause? And here it would be necessary to ask, what was happening during your pregnancy? And what happened during your pregnancy years conditionally, and she will reveal to you that she may have had some trauma or situation there, and here is the reason for you. And when she starts working with this reason, she will begin to accept her child. And as soon as she starts accepting him, the whole world will accept him. And accordingly, ways will be found to correct the behavior of such a child and to form his proper mental processes and everything that is happening within him. Therefore, there is always a very deep work being done here, and it is very important for everyone, especially for those already practicing as specialists, to come into such spaces in order to exchange experiences and gain new specific insights that can later be applied in their own practice. So, let's move on to the fact that neurography always forms new neural images within the framework of our request. That is, we have the theme of the apartment. For example, we may have had many attempts before this where we were unable to buy an apartment. We tried, but our mortgage application was not approved. We made several attempts and navigated through a lot of nuances, but for some reason, we were not granted it. As a result, we formed a negative neural image in the theme of the apartment. That is, right now, for example, I start drawing and realize that fears are rising within me that I won't be able to do it. But if, for example, a person has everything fine in their apartment, meaning they have bought one, two, or even a third, and they are even considering buying another, then they have no uncertainty that they won't succeed. But we are talking about a different case. I have formed some negative neural image that I don't have. In neurography, you start working with this image. That is, at the level of the brain, you are engaging in what can be called the healing of those destructive neural images. You transform them and build new ones that will provide you with a great quality result. So now we will draw our neurographic drawing, which is exactly what will allow you to practically feel how important it is to formulate your request. And if there are any questions regarding the theme, please write down what you would like to pay attention to specifically for yourself as a person. Does a specialist have the right to work with people? Yes, of course, the specialist has the right to work with people. Naturally, if you are working in private practice, you can use all the algorithms from the specialist course plus the user course specifically in individual work. If you want to work specifically with a group, you can work using natural algorithms. Therefore, there are certain rights of the specialist that are outlined in your course's personal account. Please pay attention to this. If the goal is to pay off a loan, then we write loan or income as the theme. I lean towards loan because income can be obtained and not spent on paying off the loan. Am I discussing this correctly? You can work on it in different ways, but what will happen if you don't have a loan? Imagine if you set the theme as a loan and you want to get rid of it. You should understand that where attention goes, energy flows. In other words, it is better to increase your income. If the income comes, you will have the opportunity to pay off the loan. You are ordering money to pay off a loan. But here it works differently. It's how your desires operate. So, it turns out that you have organized a new space for yourself, a new reality for attracting this money. You received some money, and you thought, oh, I'll settle the credit later, but for now I'll buy something here, something that is more important to me right now. It doesn't work that way. That is, later, when you go to work on the theme of money, you will have betrayed yourself here. You have deceived your consciousness, and of course, a negative image will form as a result. So, in the following themes, when you attract something again in relation to money, your brain will say, listen, but I gave you something last time, and you didn't use it as intended. So it doesn't matter how you formulate the theme here. I would go with the theme of income, although it is possible to form a theme around credit, meaning if it is painful for you. Many of us perceive credit as some kind of burden. I personally do not see credit as a burden, so it is easier for me to attract income. For me, income would be more effective in terms of volume. I would aim to double my income, for example, and accordingly, this amount that increases by 2 times would go entirely towards repaying the credit. Specifically, what amount do you need for credit repayment? You can draw exactly this amount so that this amount comes into the space. Then the theme will be more effective for you, as you would like. It is not necessary to frame the theme in a positive light or in a positive manner by any means. We set themes in different contexts, meaning that different themes are absolutely important to us. These can be fears, dislikes, disrespect, etc. That is, it is not always necessary to look at things in a positive light. We recall yin-yang. There is always a certain wholeness. One cannot reject negativity. For example, we have 2 emotions that develop the theme of money: anger and rage, rage and joy. And accordingly, how can we block anger and develop only joy? There is no such thing as only positivity in life. We inevitably encounter negative situations, such as those related to the feeling of loss. For example, when someone has passed away, we will experience feelings of guilt, pain, resentment, and loss. It will happen anyway because we do not have, for example, an eternally living world. Ordinary phenomena of life follow natural laws, so our task is to be able to work with themes both negatively and positively. So if the theme of fear is currently triggering you, so to speak, you need to draw what hurts. If the theme of fear is truly present, then you draw fear. If the theme of anger has come up for you right now, you work with anger. If you have some other pain there, I don't know, maybe health related, take that organ that is currently causing you certain states in the flame, negatives, anything at all. That is, it doesn't matter whether the themes are positive or negative. What is important is to draw what is currently significant for you. This is the most important thing. Therefore, how can one develop the ability for this kind of perception? That is, to always ask oneself the question of what you want and track throughout the day exactly what is happening to you. Then you will learn to hear yourself. And when you learn to hear yourself, you will live primarily for yourself. And as soon as you start living for yourself, you will begin to realize all your projects. Then all the money you earn will flow in the right direction. Because you will not be living in a victim position, but in a position of harmony, joy, and self-love. That is, you will act as you wish. Accordingly, the world will unfold before you differently. Pay attention to this. If we consider the user's course, we should have one fixation figure in the algorithm for removing limitations. In our algorithm for removing limitations, we have three options. These are OSO1, OSO2, and OSO Express, just like SSS, which consists of the same algorithm for removing limitations. That is, the algorithms for removing sanctions can be drawn in three ways using the algorithm for removing limitations. And so, in these algorithms, we have one fixation figure, In general, in the course for users, we teach to fixate on one fixation figure, because fixation is a point in the work. And if you have not just one solution, but several solutions, we cannot sit on two chairs and we cannot chase two hares at once. Sometimes a very bright and clear neural image is formed, fixing that here and now I see the solution to my issue. This does not relate to the algorithm for identifying intention. That is, in neurography, you may not have a fixed fixation figure at all, because all the circles you already have serve as certain fixations. But in principle, it would be good to, upon reaching the point of fixation, capture a more vivid image in the form of a fixation figure, perhaps something new, in order to acknowledge that there is a solution. This way, you will be able to make your decisions more quickly and easily. Furthermore, when you move on to the next algorithms, we may have slightly different fixation shapes, but for the user's course, it is fundamentally important to learn to see one solution, because when we truly have a choice, and many of us do not know how to make choices, we end up with nothing. That is, if we cannot decide, for example, whether to go to the pool or the gym, we end up without either the pool or the gym. This is usually the case, because it is very difficult for each of us to form something there, something like that. Here, it's very great. It has become clear I am experiencing anxiety due to the loan. I would probably answer you differently, saying that all our desires are realized from a state. I will probably give one more example, and then we will switch the camera, start drawing, and I will answer your questions while we draw. Here, when we want to fulfill some desire, it always comes from our state. For example, we never buy an apartment in a state of, wow, everything is shaking like this. It's just like that. We all express some non-specific emotions, meaning we sign the purchase agreement in a calm state, in a calm manner. In other words, we already have this flash of insight that occurs before we choose and agree on something. Many people, in a calm state, have already made their choice, meaning the question has been resolved. Emotions may manifest later on, but all our desires are realized based on our states. Therefore, it is very important to align your state with what is necessary for you. Perhaps the presence of a loan is indeed a source of anxiety, or maybe in your life. If you look at it from the past, you have been living in a projection of constant worries, and accordingly, your brain perceives that if I have anxiety, it means I am alive, and if I have no anxiety, it feels as if I am without clothes, somewhat uncomfortable. This is also a moment that needs to be tracked for oneself. Therefore, of course, if this state exists, there is an importance in working through this theme. Take your anxiety and start drawing, and then you will understand whether this theme is yours and how it resonates with your credit. I am sure that you will begin to receive a completely different reflection in the process, and this will lead you to your result more quickly. Because in neurography, it is not so much about how quickly you work through all the points, but rather how you feel about each point. And many people, again, neglect this. It is important to pay attention to your reflection in terms of what is happening on the level of thought, on the level of feelings, and on the level of the body, essentially what is happening to you, and to ask yourself questions like, what does this mean for me? How? And in what way? And when you start working with this, you draw certain conclusions from each point about what to pay attention to and how it can help you in solving your issue. This, of course, serves as a certain foundation for your work. Therefore, during certification, we always ask you to describe all your feelings, emotions, sensations, and reactions that occur. In your description, goodbye. We cannot talk about the instructors, we speak from the perspective of the pure school. As a representative of the user course, I am its curator and can tell you with certainty, as Pavel Mikhailovich says, that there is always one figure fixation in our user course. Next, at the instructor's point, we can, in principle, fix the figure as a general picture, a general state, for example. In certain algorithms, we can fix several figures for ourselves, but at the initial stage, all our themes are worked through with the help of the user's course. Why do we need to have several solutions? It is better to have one firm decision so that you have a specific focus on this particular confidence. Then you will achieve quick results, so it seems like you can count on the help of the state, or maybe still rely on yourself, or perhaps shift the responsibility to the boss. And it seems like no one is making any decisions, you know. But when there is a clearly defined goal, there is a clearly defined result. Well, let's get started with our drawing. We have just 20 minutes left to draw. We will draw 20 possibilities together. Therefore, I think this will be very interesting for each of you. Well, let's draw exactly 20 circles, 20 possibilities. Why are we taking 20 possibilities? Let me define this theme and we will draw together. It can be drawn as a theme, specifying what we will draw. I will draw the extended program project, as it is called, meaning 20 possibilities for scaling this project. You can even set the theme as a scale. That is, I have a request to scale, for example, this product or this project. I can either take the theme of the project or I can choose the scale of what I want to achieve as a result. In my work, that is, I want to obtain a scale. Accordingly, I can take this theme of scale and write 20 words within the framework of this request. You can take what is important to you. Let's form it within 2 minutes, writing our words in the framework of the given request. So, 2 minutes, the time has started. Any words. There can be both positive and negative words, absolutely any words. Time is up. Please check the word count now. I ended up with 39 words. You are 09.0, a karmic number. Practically. Almost at the table. So, we are drawing 20 possibilities for our theme. Why exactly 20? Because the number 20 has a special energy, and it symbolizes harmony, diplomacy, and balance. That is, harmony, diplomacy, and balance are what each of us needs in any topic, in any situation. That is, 20 is a combination of the energy of the number 2 and the number 0. The number 2 embodies collaboration, harmony, diplomacy, and balance, and 0 represents potential, possibilities, and the beginning of new cycles, which is exactly what we need. So let's draw lines, so to speak, of lakes. And at these intersections, we will build our city of 20 possibilities based on a specific request. I have a request for scale, and you have your own topic. And here, when you have formed these intersections, that is, in this exercise, we are going to draw a total of 20 circles, each with a unique size to demonstrate variety. To begin, gather your drawing materials, such as paper and a pencil or pen. Start by drawing the first circle, ensuring it is small and neat. Gradually increase the size of each subsequent circle, making sure each one is distinct from the others in terms of diameter. This will help in understanding the concept of varying sizes. As you continue, pay attention to the spacing between the circles to maintain a clean and organized appearance. Once you have completed drawing all 20 circles, take a moment to review your work. Here, I have already drawn 20 circles, each differing in size, to illustrate this concept effectively. This exercise not only enhances your drawing skills, but also improves your ability to perceive and create variations in size. That is, we have now created a composition of harmony and balance. In order for all our themes to work, our state is already important. You already know this very well. I was just mentioning it to you during our conversation. And now we begin to neurograph and bring everything into a state, working with point 3 of the basic algorithm, i.e., conjugation. Our task here is precisely to work on removing all our conjugations that exist. We neurograph, introducing psychic dominance and energy to achieve the best possible result. Today, in one of the user streams of the course, a question was asked, is it necessary to neurograph all the lines? Absolutely. It is crucial to neurograph everything. Imagine you have created a composition. At this moment, it is lifeless. It needs to be enlivened. This is how you enliven it with the help of neurolines. How can you enliven your composition? With the help of neurolines, that is, with the help of psychic energy and psychic dominance. Here you are indeed implementing it just right. In other words, we are truly bringing it to life. We remove all these corners. We remove all the tension. How is it going for us? My marker draws very difficultly on this paper. That is a special tension. I understood, that is, I took note of myself that I chose a complex format for the work. This photo paper turns out matte, and it is certainly very difficult to draw on it with markers, but I like to draw on it for one reason. It creates internal tension. In other words, we always raise energy towards ourselves here, and it is important for us to elevate that energy. It leaves a certain imprint of effect. In any case, everyone will achieve their specific result. Sometimes we change tools during our work, introducing something new, a novelty of some kind. That is, we are currently working on forming new neural connections in relation to our request. Our task is to work through all angles and bring in a lot of additional psychic energy within the framework of our request. That is, to enliven it, to make it bionic. We round everything off. That is to say, now everyone who draws, each of us, strives for harmony in any case. Agree. Harmony is important for each of us in all aspects of our lives.
That is, it is important for each of us to find balance between various spheres: work, personal life, logic, intuition, reason, and emotions. With everyone, agree that for each of us, there is a certain moment like this. In other words, none of us want to live in some dire, constant situations, in a state of emergencies. It is indeed difficult. Imagine living constantly in a state of stress and fear. It is clear that there is no absence of stress and fear in life, for then we would not be living. In any case, they must be present, but one needs to know how to work with them properly. Allow yourself to work with them easily. With these states, we activate all nerve connections, linking them. We neurograph, we connect. That is, we bring out this necessary psychic energy into our new, already formed connections. We form certain impressions. This is why we work with a marker, because a marker leaves a good impression on the corrected brain. You can simply use markers of different thicknesses. You can use a thick marker or a thin one. It depends on your preferences. Again, if you are working, for example, on a small format, use thinner markers. If you are working on a large format, use thick markers, because on a small format, a thick marker will fill your sheet with just 3 lines. Therefore, here we assess the situation and of course take the tools that are important to us. By activating these 20 possibilities to realize our request, we allow ourselves to create harmonious relationships and achieve success in various areas. What is important to each of us, agree, is that it truly matters. It is important for us to create certain impressions. If anyone has not yet completed the user course, a new algorithm will be introduced starting from the 80 stream of the user course, which will be presented very soon for participants of the 80 stream. So, accordingly, we will soon have the start of the stream. It is already open for sales for the 81 stream. Therefore, if you are not yet a user, and if you want to additionally go through a new algorithm for yourself, keep in mind that this will give you another additional tool in your toolkit for work. In our user course, we already have 3 algorithms, namely the restriction removal algorithm, the sanction removal algorithm, and the intention detection algorithm. There are 3 versions of restriction removal algorithm. If we do not consider them, but rather consider them as algorithms in terms of ASO, ACSS, and AOET, then there are 3, and yet a new, completely brand new one will be presented in the 80 stream of the user course. The 80 stream is already underway, and accordingly, participants will soon receive a new algorithm for themselves. How is your reflection? What is happening with you? What bodily reactions are you tracking? What thoughts are arising for you? Maybe there are no thoughts at all. Sometimes again, during the extended session, many say, "Oh, I have no reflection, I don't feel anything at all." I start to ask the question, "How is that? You don't feel anything. Does that really happen?" And during the conversation, the person realizes that it turns out I feel everything. I just never thought it was necessary to document it before. So you see how important it is to have this feedback, after all, because when you have just completed the course, and then you start to immerse yourself in certain topics and states, you still need to go beyond the boundaries. And accordingly, since today we have formed 20 circles of opportunities to address your request, and since 20 is related to diplomacy, the ability to not find a compromise, we have now created a new reality where each of us will possess the ability to resolve conflicts, find common ground with others, where you now have a keen sense of justice, can settle disagreements, creating a harmonious world environment. That is, you have uncovered your creative potential, the ability to see opportunities. Can you imagine how great and important this is? And now we begin to introduce color. We introduce color through the stream as you feel it, so go ahead and add it. Perhaps a lot of color can be added in the sense that if you want to make it bright in some way, then add a lot. You can add a lot of color. If you want to create a more calm work, then use little color. In other words, the colors here depend on you. It's up to you how much color you want to incorporate and how relevant it is for you at the moment. It may be important for you to introduce a small number of colors or a large one. Think about what this means for you and start bringing in color. Always make sure to support the colors, meaning in perspective, so that the colors are not lonely. It is important for us to shed light. We can support these colors from another part of the work. You can always refine your work. We have point 7 on styling. You can always push your work to achieve aesthetic pleasure. We always leave a certain impression in our work. Of course, all the colors we have are certainly important to us. We are pouring. We can have many colors or we can have few colors. Here, each person determines the amount for themselves. Ask yourself, is this really enough for me? Perhaps it is not enough. And what do I feel in the process? What thoughts come to me? Don't be afraid to combine colors. For example, I had yellow and I combined it with green. It is always essential to interact, engage with others, and communicate effectively. Interaction always has important and interesting significance. Brightness can be added in a special way, always differently. In other words, we are kind of diving into our feelings, sensations, emotions, and states. We raise the energy that we have here. We combine what exists. It is possible to add experiences regarding certain circles, perhaps highlighting them in a special way. In order to generate some unique and captivating special effects for oneself, one might explore various techniques and methods, experimenting with different tools and technologies to achieve the desired visual impact and artistic expression. We can always refine the work. We have little time left, so I will now outline the composition in general terms, just to mark it, but I will refine it a bit later. We literally have 5 minutes left. Therefore, everyone will be able to refine their work to their aesthetic pleasure, at their own pace. Pay attention to what is happening with you. Perhaps there is heat spreading through your body or something else. In other words, notice these kinds of moments. Keep track. At the moment, I currently want to highlight some important and potential opportunities. Of course, we certainly and absolutely need to collaborate with the various different types of background. We do not have isolated cells. It is important to work towards moving away from isolated cells. Always support the colors. The softness and texture should be defined in a way that enhances the overall appearance and feel of the artwork. You can additionally layer colors on top of each other or add some special effects if you feel it's lacking. We always need smooth transitions to the design. We can also leave the white color because this color also leaves a certain imprint. In that case, we ended up with a job. So now you are able to see directly thanks to this work, meaning you have discovered the ability to see potential in situations where others may only see limitations. In general, this will help you develop your new ideas and achieve success in your endeavors. It is important to note for yourself that each of you is unique, and accordingly, you can open up success in your career, finances, work, or whatever you desire thanks to this work. In other words, you have activated harmony, diplomacy, and balance. In other words, you have kind of developed the ability to find balance, resolve conflicts, and see opportunities. Overall, you have better developed your potentials thanks to this work. Moving on. Be sure to draw the field lines. Although we have already introduced our field lines, it would be good to reinforce some additional lines. This will allow you to see your results even better. That is, your lines can follow those you already have, yes, to strengthen them. In other words, you can enhance certain lines as more important, as stronger, as more resourceful. It is important for each of us to see this resource. We are developing ourselves. Make your work more substantial, potentially stronger, and maybe introduce some additional new lines as you feel. Of course, it is essential to incorporate these lines into your work significantly. A strong, flowing. The line of the field is the energy of the surrounding world. It is very much needed, which is why we pay attention to it. There is literally very little left. Let's wrap up our work and be sure to neurograph. We must neurograph everything. We always neurograph the important lines of the field and the fixation figure. We have created such a wonderful piece of work today. You can also create a fixation figure for yourself, highlighting it as something more important, strong, and structural just for you. That is undoubtedly, as one such effect, I have everything to reveal myself and gain 20 opportunities for realization of their request. For scaling the project, that is, the request was for scaling accordingly. There are 20 opportunities for scale. I am satisfied with my work. I believe it turned out to be very complete, very interesting, powerful, and strong. Make sure to write down the words related to what you have. Within 2 minutes, my bag was reflecting light, so this is the kind of work that turned out. We always round everything off, always, everywhere, in everything. We have item 3, which means we only had 20 minutes for drawing, and since we didn't want to prolong our broadcast, naturally, we managed to fit it in. We only had a limited amount of time, so be sure to refine your work and make quality connections. Point 3 of the basic algorithm. Bring the work to aesthetic pleasure. This is point 7 of the basic algorithm. And of course, do item 8 of topic 2.0. That is, analyze how well you were able to immerse yourself in this state, how you now see your request, how important it is to you, how you would like to work on it further, and whether you would like to continue working on it, meaning what conclusions you have reached. Summarize your results, the outcome of your drawing, and see you in new broadcasts. If you have any questions, feel free to join the chats of our training groups and ask. We will be happy to answer you.